welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on a continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. Look, we got to get there faster, and then we got to get to 1,000,000. And then after that, we just got to keep rolling because the stupidity is not going to stop. So please hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share. It's so important. Now, look, Trump's doing it again, slapping tariffs on goods from countries all around the world. And worse, with seemingly random rates that's going to increase prices on what you buy, literally on every good. But this isn't how it's supposed to work. No, tariffs aren't supposed to be arbitrarily dictated by the president. On my Mea Culpa podcast, my friend Norm Eisen and I we ask the simple question: where are the checks and balances? Why isn't Congress stepping in? And what can the courts do to stop him and all of this nonsense? Play the clip. I want to talk about the tariffs, right? Because we just keep talking about the tariffs, and according to these insiders, this is great. We're making $37 trillion is going to be, the number, which of course is more than our entire GDP. But Trump just is, of course not. Of course not. But Trump has new tariffs now on China, on Mexico, the EU. I don't know an easier way to say this, but it is devastating small manufacturing hubs, small businesses, especially in red states. So the question I want to ask you, again, going in there, guerrilla warfare when it comes to again, bringing these people back into the Democratic fold. How long before these working class voters realize that they've been conned?
Guerrilla warfare, but the peaceful and lawful kind.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
metaphorically. Yes. So we're gonna
grassroots campaigning.
We're already seeing, with those extreme low approval ratings, 37% for Trump and congressional Republicans losing on the generic ballot, we're already seeing that the MAGA caucus is being rejected by the American people. Now, we filed a brief on behalf of conservatives in these court proceedings over the tariffs. We wanted to make the point this is not a partisan issue. It's a bipartisan agreement that we have to have a strong economy for average American folks, for the least vulnerable. The story of the Trump administration is the opposite, Michael. It's benefiting Trump's billionaire and millionaire cronies. And you know who gets hurt? Average folks and the most vulnerable. By the way, that's also the story of Trump's friendship with Epstein. He benefited his wealthy crony. And who was getting hurt all that time? Underage girls. It's so shocking. That's why the Epstein story has such legs. It epitomizes the scandal of Trump of helping the few at the expense of the many. He's a reverse Robin Hood. I don't think the American people are tolerating it with Trump's 37% approval rating. And I think that approval rating is going to go down even more. People see he's ripped them off. He told them he was going to do one thing. He is doing something very different.
So let me ask you, right, because under this administration, specifically Doge, I mean, they've siphoned off billions and billions, like $10 billion from labor, right? Why they did it? I don't know. Was it to fund Trump's new White House event space that will no doubtably be called the Trump Pavilion, or the Trump Hall, or something at the White House? What does it say? What's that?
Until he's tossed out by the voters, and then they'll call it the first felon pavilion.
They're never going to say
or
that.
The 34 conviction dance hall. This is a waste of money, this construction They don't need a ballroom in the White House. The White House is fine. When they need to have a ball, they put up a tent for state dinners. And this is a waste of money. It's Trump's self-aggrandizement. And again, it's like his plane. He's getting a Qatari jet, and he's going to take it with him when he leaves for his library. Give me a break. So people see Trump is in it for himself, and I think they're very fed up, Michael. That's why he's got these rock bottom approval ratings.
I mean, really, what does it say about a presidency when glitz wins out over job growth, and the ones that are getting hurt are his constituents more than anybody?
It says failed presidency, and that's what we're on the way to. Part of it is it's a dictatorial, authoritarian affair. American people don't want a dictatorship. That's why we got rid of King George III back in the 18th century. And Donald Trump is not honoring his promises. The people are fed up with that. I see that in our over 100 legal matters. Every day he's breaking the Constitution or the laws. We're not letting him get away with it. We've been winning those cases. We got the first class action and preliminary injunction protecting birthright citizenship, the right of all babies born here to be citizens. We went to court. Trump was trying in his elections executive order to benefit his voters and make it harder for everybody else to vote. No, not allowed. We got a preliminary injunction stopping that. The AmeriCorps case, or the Voice of America case, many others, Donald Trump trying to dismantle government agencies. We've gone in, we've gotten court orders to push back. All those AmeriCorps kids are back on the job. So Donald Trump is not only failing, he's doing so very visibly. That includes in court. And the country can see it. They don't like that.
Yeah. Well, look, while you make the claim that, the American people are winning in the courts, one of the things, and we've talked about this offline and also on various other programs, when Trump said he intended to rewrite the Constitution to destroy our tripartite system of government, right, to do away with the co-equal branches, the legislative and the judiciary. He has all but effectively done that to the legislative branch. They're feckless, they're impotent, they're there to rubber stamp whatever he wants. That's our legislative body. You got the House. Well, nothing is going to happen there as long as Mike Johnson is the speaker. And the Senate, even confirming, dude, they could bring in Rin Tin Tin, right, as a federal court judge, and Rin Tin Tin, the famous dog, or Lassie, or freaking Godzilla, would end up being approved by the Senate. They don't care.
Yeah. Well, Rin Tin Tin and Lassie would be more qualified than some of the nominees that Donald Trump has been putting forward for the federal bench. There has been an abdication of responsibility in Congress by the MAGA caucus. They go along with whatever Trump wants. The United States Supreme Court should be called the Supreme MAGA Tribunal. You've got 6 votes there in case after case, without even saying why they're stopping lower court orders. But the good news, Michael, Donald Trump may have flooded the zone, but we've met that with rule of law, shuck and awe. For every case that he, for every time that he breaks the law, there's 2 cases in response where we're overwhelming his illegal behavior. And most of those cannot go to the Supreme Court. They just don't have the bandwidth. They're being upheld by lower courts. It's stopping a lot of wrongdoing.
Well, when we start thinking that the courts are going to be the ones to save us, once again, I have my suspicion. I mean, take a look, for example, with Judge Boasberg, right? Chief Judge, D.C. District Court. He ruled that, for example, Trump's mass deportations of Venezuelans, Salvadoran, and these and others, right? That you can deport them under the Alien Enemies Act. He claimed that it violated due process. Within minutes of that claim by Judge Boasberg, Trump is out there on social media. All of his sycophants, enablers, his surrogates are calling him a traitor. Norm, my question to you, how dangerous is it when the President of the United States is personally targeting judges for doing their jobs?
It's dangerous. And John Roberts needs to be more outspoken in defending those judges. You can't have a president going around and attacking these federal judges. But Michael, we have to consider the reason he's attacking them. There have been about 200 cases where their courts have ordered Donald Trump's illegal activity to stop. We've never seen anything like that in the history of the United States of America. Such a tsunami of unconstitutional and unlawful behavior, but such pushback by the federal courts. Now, courts can't start themselves. People have to go to court. That's why my organization has brought these dozens of cases fighting back against Donald Trump. And the good news is we are winning in the vast majority of cases, and the Supreme Court is not touching 90% of them. So even though Donald Trump has captured the executive branch, the legislature, the judiciary, there's still plenty of pushback. And in the states, the state AGs and some governors, Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, have been absolutely terrific.
Well, let's talk about them for a second then. Well, actually, before I even get to them, so now that he doesn't like some of the decisions coming from these judges, like Judge Boasberg, Trump is floating the idea that he wants retroactive term limits for federal judges, right? And claims that he intends to restructure the judiciary right after 2026. Norm, we witnessing a deliberate authoritarian strategy to break the judicial independence, no different than he has just broken the legislative branch?
Yes, and we've seen this strategy play out in other backsliding democracies, Hungary, Poland, Turkey. But we know what to do about it, Michael. First of all, we have to defend and appreciate our federal judges, all of us. They have been so terrific, so fast, so strong. They've stood up for our Constitution. Second, we need to go to court to expose that Donald Trump's attacks on the judiciary are a sham. And third, the only place where we need relief is in the United States Supreme Court. We need a package of reforms because the rest of the courts are doing their job. The Supreme Court appears to be badly compromised.
Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.